Revolution Radio Canada. My name is Craig G, alongside my man Dimetre Alexiou. Our man Derek Lewis, unfortunately, is stuck in traffic as of right now, and unfortunately will not be able to join us. I think he was up building yurts again up north. So he's unfortunately not with us, but we do have a video clip coming up very, very shortly that we're going to play for our special guest tonight that actually has Derek Lewis in it. Anyway, Craig G, Dimetre, it's a Monday night. It is Canadian as heck, this podcast that we do each and every Monday night. And tonight we have a Canadian legend, an absolute legend. And we are so fortunate to have the one and only Saukrates joining us tonight on the podcast. Thank you so much for your time, my friend. We really appreciate you being here.
Thank you for having me, man. It's cool to be invited to the chat, you know.
Yeah.
It's always cool to be invited to the chat, man. Yeah,
definitely.
Well, okay, and this is episode 110 of this pokey little podcast we call Canadian as heck.
We've done 110 of these things. So
yeah, we're doing the 110th right now.
Right, got it. Yeah. Thanks, Dimetre.
And,
yeah, congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you.
No, that's
And Saukrates has a brand new album out for everybody to check out called Bad Addictions. And what number album is this?
Okay, well, it's singular, Bad Addiction.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. I just call it the Bad Addiction LP. But that it's one and not too many. If we start with the Underground tapes, originally released in 1999. After that, the other body of work I put out was my group Big Black Lincoln.
Yeah,
body of work. And then following that, I was able to do season 1, Saukrates season 1, so a solo LP that was 2012. Then the Amani EP in 2014, Juno nominated. That was fun.
Awesome.
That was fun. We went to Hamilton, didn't get it, but it's always, like I said, it's nice to be invited, you know. Then the season 2 album we dropped 2016, and then of course, you know, a few years after that, the whole world went quiet, and I kind of went back into the vault for this one. It's one I've been wanting to release since I was signed to Def Jam in the early 2000s.
Yeah,
I was finally able to remaster it. So I don't know if we count. It's about the 4th or 5th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to start. My first question is going to involve playing you a clip from an interview we did with one of your colleagues a couple years ago. So if you wouldn't mind throwing to that, Craig.
You got it. Give me 2 seconds. We'll do that. We will do.
You know, he has to talk himself through the process.
We will do that. We will do this.
I know engineers, even the greatest engineers talk through the whole process.
Exactly.
And sometimes I learn moves.
Exactly. Here we go.
So Cardinal and I have been friends since I was 15 and he was 16. We both went to a band camp called Fresh Arts. And in that camp, it was a part of a program called Jobs Ontario Youth, the JOY program. Shout out to the Bob Ray administration. That's one thing that they did well for the youth. And so we got paid an hourly wage to go make music. And we met. That's where we met, actually, all summer in High Park. We had facilitators and leaders. There was a lot of mentorship. Baby Blue, Kid Cut was there. He was part of the program. Saukrates, part of the program. You know, but we knew them. I was Julianne Gordon. Cardinal was Jason Harrell. Saukrates was Amani Welu. Like, we were our birth names. We were just these kids, right? Right. And so when it came time, Chocolate got discovered as far as internationally first. He got signed to Virgin. And then he brought us all on to be like singing hooks, and Cardinal and Saukrates were producing. So I had my voice in there, basically being like the voice of these hip hop songs. And so then Cardinal got discovered by MCA Records, and he was doing the song, working with Sean Paul as well as Baby Blue. So they needed a voice, and I was always available. Like, Julie was the voice. Like, they knew any hip hop song, Julie's the voice. And so that kind of became my role. Like, I used to say that I was the the wife of hip hop. You know, what I mean, if hip hop was the husband and I was the wife. Let's go.
And if I could just ask something. Okay, so like the first thing I ever heard from.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah. So
There it is.
Oh, we got to get rid of that thing so we don't echo. Okay,
Got it.
It always happens. It always happens. But that was part of an amazing conversation that we had with Julie Black, the wife of hip hop, as she calls herself. You know, and I just that story about like Fresh Arts and High Park, that just blows my mind. That's so much sprang from that. Like just you, Cardinal, Julie. It's like just so much sprang from that.
Yeah,
the
Baby Blue Crew. Yeah,
yeah, and
it's like the Canadian Hip Hop Museum, like in one camp kind of thing. You know what I mean? It was amazing.
Yeah. What do you tell us about your memories of that?
Well, yeah, I mean, all of that layout is all very true. Lucky enough to my mother, who had friends who were, you know, downtown and working within the system, and had brought me to this project to, you know, basically sign up. A kid from Scarborough, Julie being from Jane and Finch, Cardinal being from Oakwood and Vaughan, and other kids being from downtown. This great opportunity to get together every summer. Yeah, summer job. I can tell you how great all of those. I mean, it lasted about 5-6 summers.
Fresh Arts?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It lasted about 5-6 summers, and before it was even over, by the end of it, I had been moving so quickly with the connections that were coming with all of the information, the learning, the teaching. Shout out to Motion, Wendy Braithwaite. Shout out to Motion, who ran the music part of that whole program. Because you could choose theater, dance, spoken word, visual arts, events planning, music. So anyway, that was it's hard to equate it to. The closest thing you can equate it to is like summer school, and you're paid to be there, because at the end of the summer you're learning the commerce of how to sell your art, how to turn the business of art, the commerce of, you know, which is how Bob Ray was able to, you know, interpret that into how can we pay these kids, you know, that combined with the summers of you know, a couple of riots and, you know, the youth, us in the early 90s kind of, you know, getting wild in the streets. So this was dedicated mainly to Black and Native upbringing or backgrounds, but it was open to everybody, the whole public. So just basically, so now those who are in the know, yes, and then we didn't close the doors on, or they didn't close the doors on anybody else. These are my experiences of being there. What they led to is absolutely brilliant. I was able to I put my first single out featuring with Cardinal on it before that program was over. I was
amazing.
16,
still caught up from 1994, right?
You got it.
And the thing is, Cardinal was called Kool-Aid back then.
That's right. And he said it on the record. You got it. You got it.
Yeah. Now,
that's awesome.
Now, where did that was a single on Steppin' Bigga Records. So was that like totally DIY, you know, like whose label was that?
Eugene Tam, the owner at Play the Record.
I want to talk to you about that, actually. So really? I if you don't mind me stepping in here, Dimitri.
Absolutely.
There's a fellow by the name of Eugene Tam who owned, or still does own, as far as I know, a record shop that I spent way too much money at as a DJ. A wonderful place on Yonge Street, just north of course, the HMV Superstore and the Sam the Record Man, a place called Play the Record. Right. And this man right here appears in an incredible documentary called Drop the Needle. It's a wonderful documentary on on Played a Record and the Tam family, essentially how they got their start, coming from the Caribbean and then essentially making their way up here and opening up this incredible record store. Now, you spoke so beautifully, Saukrates, in that documentary. I'm wondering if there's maybe something that you would be able to talk about in kind of like sort of piggybacking onto what Dimetre was just talking about in regards to your first single with Cardinal. Most people didn't even realize that there was a recording studio in the basement. As a matter of fact, most people didn't even know there was a basement. And I'm wondering if you could describe to us the excitement that you must have felt, in the studio at 17 years old, putting out your first record.
16 years old. 16 turning 17, and I think at maybe 15, 16, because when it came time to sign the paperwork, it's not very a long story, but I connected with a manager while I was at Fresh Arts, and me and Cardinal and Marvel and Julie and all of us would go to DJ Power's house to record our demos, and he charged $5 an hour, $6 an hour, a little 4-track, and we get our demos done. And a guy named Chase, who had been hanging out with that DJ sound crew, Chase Parsons,
Chase
Parsons. He had been there and overheard our work, and he got my contact from DJ Power, who was helping us make the beats and that whole thing. And eventually he had to, spoke with my parents, spoke with me. He said, I'd like to manage you. He's 22 at the time, I'm 15. He's like, I'd like to manage you. I want to try a couple things. He had to speak to my parents, and, we figured all that out. And that fast forwards to taking maybe about 5-6 months to create a body of work at Day's studio, Lee Fredericks, which is Day Productions, right? With the Father Time record, Shot Claire's label, Knee Deep.
Yes, Knee Deep.
Yeah, right, with Knee Deep. So I created a body of work there. That body of work, once we figured, okay, we have a couple things we could play for people, Chase took that to John Bronski, who was working with Eugene Tam at the time. John Bronski was also a mentor at Fresh Arts. He'd pop in and teach us about the business of music and the whole thing. So it was this circle that, in hip hop, it was churning in the 90s, where it's like, it is kind of a DIY. Yeah. It's like you get up and you do it, and you talk to this person, you talk to that person. The truth is, if you hit the right connections, which we did, Eugene and John Bronski, they liked a few songs, a bunch of songs off that. They said, we'd like to go with that. And, I had to have my mother come down to the studio and in the basement. Yeah. Right. And go through the paperwork, because I'm underage. So she had to sign for me. Mm-hmm. And that is that. But the coolest thing is to be in a store, as you described, which is kind of a mecca of where you get the latest, rarest, club rocking music from. That's one of 3 places you go to every Thursday or, Saturday sometimes. Right?
Every Thursday. Yeah, that's right.
You know what I mean?
Eugene would come in the back with the records. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So to be a part of what, when you go down into the basement, you think there's nothing down there, but this narrow stairwell. But once you hang a left and come back around this way, boom, there's this studio that was engineered by Alex G, who ended up moving to Miami and doing a bunch of production with NSYNC. Made a lot of money. He was doing well. That's Played a Record in a nutshell in that era.
Amazing.
Was a beautiful launch, and we weren't looking for, we weren't getting rich. It was to be able. The key was to get it on vinyl. Yeah. Once you got it on vinyl, you could ship it to New York. And that's right. DIY. It's like, okay, it's indie. Okay, who's paying for the pressing? It's like, okay, yes, we are doing it ourselves. Yeah. With no major label endorsements, we got our own. Come up with our own money to press. And once you have vinyl back then, you get it in the hands of the right DJ, it's certified. It's not like sending them a cassette or, back in those times.
Yeah.
Right.
Played a record, still caught up. What it did for Jason and Amani,
Yeah.
right? Cardi and Socks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, I was so glad to see you in that doc. I knew Cardinal would be in it, and I remember distinctly right at the very beginning, while you guys are all kind of being shown like in the intro credits of like, okay, here's Saukrates, here's Mastermind, here's DJ Matt C, who's one of my DJ heroes in Toronto. It's showing all of you guys. I was literally grabbing a drink, and then I came back in and I sat down right in front of the documentary. And I remember as soon as I saw Cardinal, I thought, I hope Saukrates is in this documentary. And sure enough, all of a sudden, Dimetre, it's a beautiful documentary. You really have to see it because this man, the way he gets set up in this documentary is absolutely perfect because everybody that's before him is saying, there's this guy with a voice. We don't know who he is, but this guy's going to be huge. He's going to be massive and he's going to be signed. And I'm literally sitting there going, it's Saukrates. It's Saukrates. like literally. And sure enough, all of a sudden, Saukrates just comes in. He kind of just sits down on a chair and sort of looks around like, probably waiting for a person to put a microphone on you or something like that, right? And it's just like the hairs are standing up on my arm right now. It's so cool. So
that is awesome. That is
anyway.
Awesome. The experience, man. That's a great experience you had. And again, it was awesome to be invited.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. Dimetre. I'm sorry, Dimetre. I'm really sorry. One more quick question. Okay, in regards to that time period, I'm wondering if you could even hazard a guess. Would you maybe know possibly how many songs by the time you got into Eugene Tam's studio you had ready to go?
Yes, we were working on 10. We wanted, once we hit 10, that was our goal. Me and Chase's goal was, okay, let's get to 10. I think we got to 11 or 12.
Right.
And to not get stagnant, he started to figure out ways where we could start using some of the better songs. Yes. So there was a goal. There was definitely a set goal.
Nice.
And is this like, and then you were signed to Warner?
Well, that's not the Flash because we stayed indie. So we go Still Caught Up with Eugene. Did well. Juno nominated.
Yes. Yep. First thing, right off the top.
Right off the top. And a lot of people overlook not my nomination. They overlook being nominated, period. You know what I mean? The truth is almost every other genre in this country, when they're advertising their artists or their music, even if they haven't won that Juno, it's Juno nominated. So it comes with this big thing. So I, even though at a younger age, when I didn't get the first one, and you're a little disappointed, but there's fire. It's like, okay, let's get him again. Get him next time. We're gonna get him next time, but not without losing respect for the fact that this is our Grammy, And as a kid, being out there at Cops Coliseum, waiting, But yeah, moving forward, the singles end up being after that is Father Time.
Yes.
Which is really what helped us get the international momentum going. And we did that with Dave Fredericks, with Lee Fredericks, through Knee Deep.
And listening to the interviews that you added to the underground tapes, it sounded like you were kind of thrown for a loop how much international success you got from Father Time.
Yes.
Yeah. How come can you tell us a little bit about why that surprised you?
Well, I mean, just being Canadian, first of all, your hair stand up like, oh, wait, is this actually working, south of the border? Because Still Caught Up did well, Juno nomination, awesome. We dropped Father Time. We do our 2 to 3 months. Remember Radio Burn? Remember Vinyl Burn? It'd be like, okay, after that, what's your next single? What else you got? We went through that in Toronto, where just Father Time was widely accepted. It's awesome. but they're on the what's next. And this is where my Toronto the Planet state of mind comes in. Where, okay, what's next? The record is not going to stop here, and that's a great thing that Chase, being older than us as a crew at the time, and thinking forward and thinking more maturely about the business, says, okay, well, let's move it somewhere else. They ain't heard it yet. Let's get it to New York. So him and Lee eventually get it to Fat Beats in New York City, which in turn connects Los Angeles, which in turn connects the UK, which in turn connects Paris, which, you know what I mean? Because all of them are coming into New York to get it. And there's a Fat Beats in LA. So if they can't get the one in New York, they get into LA. And a lot of our records from the circle, me, Cardi, Shocks, but also including like Thrust and Ghetto Concept, we'd end up on their wall. They used to have a wall of independence at Fat Beats Records in New York. And it's like 1 to 20. And they rate them on how good they are from anywhere around the world. And a lot of the time we end up in the top 5 coming out of Toronto. So there was no bias in New York. These international DJs were coming in to get it, whatever it was, wherever it came from. And Father Time was thrown into that pot. Brand new life. That's what got me signed to Warner Brothers.
Were people talking to you around that time about hearing a unique Toronto sound?
No, they didn't. A lot of them just thought I was from Queens or Brooklyn. But
really,
it fit in. It was or is the language, the tonality that fit. It found its own kind of angle in that time. But the bounce and the production, the shout out Gadget on the mixes, everything we were able to hit it in the club DJs when they dropped the instrumental. It's just, I was told that the club was going up. I didn't spend any time in New York when that record was out there, but I was told that I was up. My name was circulating around the place. So again, that's why I would assume that helped me get signed to Warner Brothers in LA for that. And then next was before we did that was before we got signed to Warner Brothers, we put out Hate Runs Deep.
That's an amazing song. I love that song.
Yeah.
So that's like the 1, 2, 3. Thank you, man. And that's like the 1, 2, 3 punch, as an independent artist for me coming up and then, trying to get into the right record deal, be it south of the border, bigger budgets, go through the whole circus, the whole rigmarole of it and learn from it. But that every artist, I guess, needs a 1, 2, 3 punch to prove themselves. I think it's still true to this day. We needed it back in the day. You hear the first single, okay, cool. You hear the second one, oh, damn. If the third one is rock solid, you can, kind of build a career off of that because you found something you can grow with and that people trust, And I think it's with the same with artists today. They could drop a one-hit wonder, you love it, but imagine they had another 2. They stick around for a while. Just some staying power. So yeah, fast forward.
Yeah, and then Warner Music Canada shuts down their hip hop division, right?
Yeah, I mean there were so many. We could go on about label building, label destroying, label amalgamation. We could go on and on about that, and a lot of that got in the way of my trajectory. But working around that or working through it, has been a thing. And sometimes it's really just letting a lot of it go. And I think that about independence, but being able to manage your independence, is a big thing. And there's a lot more room for that in today's, with today's technology and today's market.
Oh yeah, but I was just thinking like we're talking like late 90s, and so that's when you and Chase set up Capitol Hill Music.
Yes.
Yeah. And I just remember that because like you did that song with Julie called Rallying, which we need We need a cleaner version of that on the internet or something, because like that I remember that song and I can't find, and why can't we find a good version of that anymore? But that was on Capitol Hill.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we did Julie and Cardinal's first album. We're on with the show. We put him out on Capitol Hill as well. It was a birthplace for not just like many artists. It was just a good birthplace for artists to move on in their business, in their real business. Because obviously Julie, move on to the MCA and Cardi to MCA, but with that start of us kind of doing it on our own at Capitol Hill and really being a great filter for the art, the actual quality of the art. I think that once that was established, everybody who came through that label ended up more benefiting from the filter and moving on, so they have faith in their own music rather than it being this huge, indie label where, some get rich quick scheme. I think it was more of a collective, a production collective, and opportunities for people to grow.
That's a really excellent point that you just made, because at the time when when the underground tapes had come out, it was around exactly the same time. There was a mix that I used to do. I'm a DJ, so I used to do a mix that I still love to this day, and I still play it from time to time. But I would start with Rollin', your track, and I'd pitch it up to about 96.5 BPMs. Mm-hmm. And then into that I would mix Let's Ride, and then into that I would mix Baby Blue, Money Jane. And I distinctly remember throwing that set down on a Saturday night at Whiskey Saigon at Richmond Street and Duncan.
Richmond and Duncan, yeah.
And the place went insane as soon as Roland came on, and then once you basically mix from Saukrates into Choclair, everybody on the dance floor is right here, right? And then of course you mix in a Baby Blue. That's it. The quality of the music that you guys were putting out was it was insane. Like what I'm wondering is, I guess the question I'm trying to get to here is, all of you working independently of each other, were you kind of feeding off of one another, or were you all just kind of working independently of each other, and it just, for some strange reason, it all seemed to work?
It's a good question. It's a combination of both, because you don't have only one producer. About 4 or 5 of us in the crew, are making beats, high quality beats. Right. And then, then they've got 3 or 4 quality solo artists. So there's a bunch of people who are working on these things themselves, have these ideas, and then that web, because the web is there. Oh, Kid Cut call. They said, him and KLC said they're ready to get the album going. They want to hear some beats. And we all naturally come together. And again, that, shout to Fresh Arts on that, because around that time, it's like we're all feeling a lot of what we had cultivated over those summers. Now we're adults, and Universal, who was it? Was it Sony? I can't remember. Was it Universal? Universal signed Baby Blue. Was it Universal who signed Baby Blue?
That's a good question.
I think it was Universal. I think you're right.
It was Universal. Yeah. And they set it up.
Ivor Hamilton, maybe.
Yeah, and they set it up for Baby Blue to have just as an example, to have a situation where they could do a compilation album. They can afford to hire all the local talent that they have a lot of faith in, which included me, right? Everybody's got their own beats, and and are working on so many different things that it's literally just a phone call away of us eventually getting into the studio together.
Yeah.
And because back then it's, you're not sending it over the internet. It's like, okay, boom, I'm coming in. I'll drop the vocals at Kid Cut's house, or I'll do the vocals at my house and send it to the studio.
Oh my God, that must have been so insanely creative. It's just like, Saukrates, just can you run over to my house? I need you to throw down a verse on blah 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 blah. And at that point in time, would you literally probably have a bunch of verses already like ready to go in your pocket, and you would just kind of walk in and
No, it'd be maybe you get a week or two. You might pick up a beat CD, or beat CD might be dropped off to you, and you're going through beats. You might have a couple beats, you have a couple ideas, and then when you end up at the studio, you've picked one or you've written something. You might record it there, or you've already recorded it. Maybe you're just dumping all your files, but that contact, all of that was being made. And the interesting thing is, as amazing an experience as that is going along with 4 or 5 other projects that are all being handled kind of in the same
at the same time. Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? And the same talent is being spread from 1 to 5 and 3 to 2, and to have everybody really excited about being involved. It was a good time. First of all, there were budgets being put into those albums, right? And Canadian labels were taking a shot. It's like, okay, let's try something.
Yeah.
And radio was supporting.
Yes.
Radio was so supportive during that time, late 90s, early 2000s. You couldn't, flow was just, you couldn't.
Yeah.
For us, we couldn't ask for any better plug to the world in our city.
Yeah.
As Canadian artists of that style of music.
Yeah.
Oh, it was gorgeous.
There was it was at CIUT had oh my gosh, I can't.
Well, okay. Now there's a mecca of indie radio where it was absolutely amazing, and that's CKLN.
Yeah, he's in the
CIUT, CHRY.
Ron Nelson.
Time was on 108. All those indie, the college stations. Yes, that was a mecca. Now, when things started to shift, and we finally got our own quote unquote station,
right,
at Flow, playing hip hop and R&B and reggae and Afro and whatnot. They were playing folks from our city literally 2 days. If you got it, not even you need a plug with a DJ. If you send it in and the DJ likes it, starting from scratch, or any of the guys over there, they're playing it.
Yeah,
it's in the mix, and then all of a sudden people like it. All of a sudden now it's in the programming, and you're hearing the Keisha Shanties or the opportunities at a young Drake. You're hearing playing.
Deborah Cox and all of these wonderful
Black Lincoln.
Yeah.
Black
so
Lincoln.
many great.
They're playing it all. That was a really good time. And shout out to Flow of that era. And people like yourselves who actually pay attention to from era to era. That was a really good one. And it helped us all out, helped us all out.
That's great. I need to ask you a question. So we're looking around 2009, season 1.
Yes, sir.
How did you end up linking up with a Wu-Tang Clan member? I mean, like, I'm sure you've probably been asked this question, like, how on earth did there's obviously over the years, there's Cardi with, Carrie Hilson and Akon and all of these wonderful artists where you've all managed to link up with these incredible American artists. How did the whole Method Man and Redman thing come about, if you could tell us? Okay,
well, the Underground Tapes album comes out in '99, which was like a collection of music that was supposed to come out under Warner Brothers from before that, and a bunch of stuff from before we weren't able to release. As I got off of Warner Brothers, we put out Underground Tapes independently in the U.S. through Sirius Entertainment. Shout out to Mike Karen, big boss down there in California. And then up here through, again, Eugene Tam and Awesome Aziz with Ill Vibe Records through EMI.
Yeah.
Big, the Underground Tapes. So we put that out. And we had a connection of a couple of friends. We had a friend working at Def Jam as an assistant A&R at a small office. And I remember a meeting with myself, Chase Parsons, Director X, Taj Critchlow was there, Taj Critchlow, and another kid named Andre. I forget his last name. We call him Dre. But anyway, he's assistant A&R over there. And we literally had a conversation about where I'd like to be signed since I was off of Warner Brothers, where I'd like to go. This Underground Tapes album is out. We got nominated for Money or Love, MMVA, and the Junos are paying attention. This is really cool. Where do we want to go? I said, I love Def Jam. We had literally at a dinner meeting. And the CD was given to this kid, Dre, who just blasted it every day in his office. Didn't give it to anybody, just played it. You hear it through the walls. And literally Redman's manager heard it through the wall, asked, who the hell is that? He said, Saukrates from Toronto. He said, is he signed? He said, no. And fast forward within 2-3 days, that was a Thursday. On the Monday, me and Chase were on a flight to New York. To sit with Redman.
Oh my goodness. That is incredible.
Yeah, to sit with Redman and Money or Love and that kind of funk that I always looked up to him and Eric Sermon, EPMD, Rockfather, always looked up to them for that. So imagine, you don't always want to meet your heroes. This one, yeah, you want to keep. Yeah. He's one of the coolest cats. We hit it off, and we've been family ever since. And because of that connection and, getting to know Red and getting to work creatively in studios in New York and him stay at my house, a week at a time, working in town when he's in town. It was eventually as I get to a video shoot, actually even before I got to a video shoot, I think Red and Meth popped up in Toronto. I'd signed maybe 2 or 3 weeks earlier and they popped up at Cool House.
Yeah. Okay.
Nice.
And I got invited down. I came down, and that's when I first met Meth in the back there. And it's a young kid. Like, these MCs are it's like comic books. I came up on comic books. I'm into my art, and they're like superheroes. It's like, wow. Just study their poetry, study their art, and now you're in a room of them who have you there because they respect your art. I'm like, man, this is heavy in a great way. So I said, I remember saying to him, I said, hey, nice to meet you, brother. Yes, very good. Hey, whose is that? You mind if I crack it? Whose is that? It's the cognac. He said, that's yours. It's a $500 bottle of cognac. That's yours, Sock. More where that came from.
I have to go backwards even more now. Because what about like some of the Canadians that came up before you, like Maestro, like Ghetto Concept, like what did they mean to you growing up?
Maestro actually is probably the most poignant story of them all because he was the first for me in this country.
Yeah.
I'd be at the school dance in junior high, grade 7, and the 8th graders are, they got all the moves. I'm like, okay, I got to prove myself. Yeah. And they dropped Backbone Slide. And it just fit in with all the other great hits that were playing at the time, Soul to Soul, Big Daddy Kane, Digital Underground, Sinead, been around the world and now,
Lisa Stansfield, Rob Bass and DJ Easy Rock, same thing.
It takes two. That whole movement, and he fit right in with that. So and then you see the video, and it's like, oh, I wanted a Dope State jacket. Then one of my best friend, Khalid, growing up at the time, his uncle is LTD, DJ LTD. I'm like, yo, we can't go. It's like we just buzzing.
Oh my
just
God.
Buzzing in the 8th grade. And I was just like, yo, so close. And eventually, as we start to put our music out, and Father Time comes out, and I get a chance to go sit down at CKLN, I get invited to speak with DJ X, Power Move show. And as I go there, Wes is I guess he was being interviewed before me, and he was sitting on the bench, at Ryerson there, what used to be called Ryerson, And he pointed this out to me, and I was like, man. He pointed this out to me. He said he looked up. He said, "Yo, I like your stuff. It's dope." And I said, "What did I say?" And he said, "Well, you didn't say much." It was like, oh, he was like, "Yeah, but it was, you kept it cool, I was like, okay. He's like, Maestro said, yeah, he's getting ready. And to cross paths that first time like that, it's like, oh man, okay. But as he mentioned it, I'd almost forgotten. But at an early age, sometimes there's an arrogance that you just you kind of forget about things, or you're too nervous and don't know how to invite everybody to your conversation, to what's going on. Mm-hmm. And to have him call me 5, 6, 7 years later.
Yeah.
And ask me to produce a couple beats for him and write some hooks and perform the hooks and feature verses. And that never stopped. Every 2-3 years, we've done many records now. So imagine you're a dreamer in the 7th grade.
Yeah.
And one of your heroes eventually calls you to be a part of his journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many stories about the many artists that I've worked with, but that one really takes the cake because of the perspectives that are all being shared at once. And
it probably almost would probably end up bringing things full circle for you, I would think, right? It's just
literally that's what I'm describing. I mean, maybe I'm using too many words to say that, but it literally came full circle. You know?
Exactly.
And then he takes it upon himself when last year when he was receiving his big awards, some big achievement awards. I forget the names of them sometimes. And he's at the Junos, and he chooses to release an exclusive, freestyle for everybody to let everybody to know that West still got it over one of my beats.
Nice.
My hook over a Chaclair song. And it's just Wes holds a special place because he is like I said, like in the comic books, as hip hop is and was to me. He's one of them superheroes that proved to be true.
Yeah,
I imagine that you and Redman and Method Man have talked a lot about comic books. I just have to know since I'm a comic book geek too.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody's got their name, right? Obviously, Wu-Tang, they all got their own comic book names, right? Raleigh,
yeah.
And they got their Gambino names, of course. So they're good at that. They got all these different names. Chaos gave me a good one time. He said his dad said, Kevin, if you were a Calypsonian, if you sang soca, your name would be the Complainer.
I love it. Oh, that's great.
So we all got superhero names, right? I'm only 5'8", but the streets call me Big Sock, so I'm gonna roll with that one.
Yeah.
Oh,
you get a lot of credit for being an MC that sang, and you did that quite early. So what gave you that confidence to do that right off the top?
Oh, practice. During those summers at Fresh Arts and leading up to that in high school, getting into slow jams, always growing up with music in my household, my parents playing, beautiful eclectic collection of music from everything, and getting all those voices in my head, growing up playing, studying classical violin and playing in orchestras. So being already a musical person, by the time I hit 13, 14, and I'd sung in choir in elementary school, I even they forced me to take a vocal class in high school because to get to music camp every summer where the Bare Naked Ladies were born, Scarborough Music Camp, to get there every summer, you had to take a music course. And I'm skipping violin class because I'm 5 years, 10 years ahead of the kids who are playing it.
That's right, yeah.
So they said, nope, you still got to take a course. I had to take a vocal course. I'm like, dang. And that was, say, grade 10. But by grade 11, grade 12, I'm practicing singing slow jams, Aaron Hall, R. Kelly, then going to old school with Curtis Mayfield and Marvin Gaye.
Yeah.
And then in Jodeci was all the new school, old school, everything in between. And shower, steam, practice.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Practice, literally at that age. And once I started to get the where I could get the start chopping the notes, like, oh,
Yeah.
oh. So, you might sing in front of people here and there. I was still very shy, but I knew I could hold a note and add the vibrato and even change my tone where I'd almost do a great impression of Sam Cooke, because it's supposed to sound that way.
Yeah.
Or this falsetto, spending my days. That guy got to do the Al Green to fit that music. It was a lot of morphing into the music that was chosen. And how are we going to stand out? Especially Outkast is kicking everybody ass, and they're at the 94, 95, and there's so much soul oozing from those hooks. And I knew I had it.
Yeah.
They were, as rappers, they weren't singing it. I knew I could sing it. 94, 95. So you just practice, and eventually get one that really hits well. And that would be, for me, would have been Money or Love.
Yes, absolutely. Do you think that Chaos saw what you were doing and said, "Let me try to sing"?
No. We're two separate planets. Groove, man. It's just like this. No. He already, from his very first Essence record, he was singing the hook. And
Okay.
He was walking up and down Chinatown with his acoustic guitar strapped to his back. Had the po' boy hat, snap front. Essence. He was singing.
Okay.
He didn't care. He was a loner. He did not care. He was singing. So we're brothers from another planet, separate planet. Just on that same groove. It's like, shit, you got that? Yep, I got it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. One of these days we'll make a group, man, because when me and him get together, we're like let's say the Red and Meth, this thing. That's why we had so much fun on that On the Run video.
Such a great song.
It was just a calling. It called us. It was mine first. He's like, I love this. How can we make it ours? And we took a shot and made it ours. And I thank him so much for pushing to be a part of that.
And you worked on that with Nelly Furtado first, right?
Yeah. We did our freestyle in Paris, France. I brought it back, sat with Noah, who's now 40, sat with him. We chopped it up, got my verses down, submitted it with my album. They didn't hear it as a single. Won't say
Oh
who
my
said
God.
it. Won't say who said it. And it sat for 2 years, and Chaos had a copy of what I thought I guess was the final, and him and Jazz, Lil Jazz, shout out Lil Jazz, had been playing it at after parties on tour for like 18 months, and the place is going off every time. And he called me and said, "Hey, how can we do something?" Yeah, and we found some space for Kevin to get a verse on it, and we share the chorus. And I thank him so much for pushing that, because it's one of our more popular pieces.
Wicked.
I think we have to talk about Bad Addiction because we're getting on in time, but also I think that this album, which is so great, I think it's taking every single pinpoint timestamp in your career and putting the best of it all in one place. Like your soul singing, your rapping, and the coming up, even like that you reach back 20 years and brought that into the present.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I really like the fact that we're having conversations, in-depth conversations about this album, Bad Addiction, and what it is today. Because the coolest thing for me is it was already, spoiler alert, it was already done. And I believe in maybe 2003, 2004, it was done at its peak.
Wow.
Over time, lose a lot of files here and there, and I'm trying to pull this back together. And that was a body of work that I had recorded at the time when I was signed to Def Jam. Didn't get a chance to put that stuff out. So for me, it was a lot. It wasn't too hard to gather as much as I could to pull that whole body of work back together, with the interludes and all the timing. It wasn't hard work. It just took time to blow the dust off, remaster a bunch of stuff, and then throw it out there. Like barely any new vocals, barely anything. I think Master Ace is the only added piece that is less than 20 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine how easy that is for me to just say, "Oh shoot, we got this one. Yeah, let's just pull it together." And 20 years later, we're having these great conversations about it. And I'll give you another layer to it. What's on all DSPs is our full is the full registered album, but we also have an exclusive DJ mix featuring Mr. Attic from the Grassroots, the producer, who originally did the majority of the Bad Addiction album, which is going to be available on my app that we're dropping
an app
second week of February. The Saukrates app, and it will combine all exclusive content, such as what I just described. So this album that you've listened to it's so much more color. There's so many more interludes. You remember 3 Feet High and Rising?
Yes.
De La Soul, right? Yeah. You put the headphones on, you press play, right? And that thing just goes. All the little peaks and valleys, the little interludes and funny songs, funny anecdotes. Then you move on to De La Soul is Dead. When you had the storybook, you open it up. Then when you hear, bing, that means turn the page.
Yeah.
They had the whole LP experience.
Yeah.
Redman has done it. Ice Cube did it so well in his heyday. Mm-hmm. This exclusive version shows that whole thing, and based on the pirate radio, the pirate radio show, which you might have seen or heard on the album, is WSO XXX Radio on your FM dial. Hosted by me, Mr. Vigorous. DJ Rita on the Wheels of Steel. And my homie brother Morphosis, who runs the helicopter, does the traffic, and warms my coffee. So there's a whole show about it, which will be available on the app. So I'm going on about the Bad Addiction album because we also have 2 more singles coming this month.
Mm. Oh, which ones?
Right, because you got the album, right?
Yeah, I've listened to it on Tidal. Okay,
awesome. So we come with Oh So Cold. Got to come in January. That's the next one.
Nice.
And anything about my piece?
You see that?
I love that.
That's why I like it. See that? That's why I like it. You see, there's a reason why I like you guys. You guessed it. That's number 5.
Oh my God, that is so slick. So yeah.
That's great to me. You guessed it. I was gonna say, we'll see what number 5 is. Very good. Yeah, man. And that'll be January 31st.
Oh, and then and when can we see you live?
Yes, that's what I was going to ask. Yeah.
I don't have
any shows.
I don't have anything booked yet. The year is young. I normally take the first quarter of every year to kind of assess what's happening through the summer and field the calls, see what's happening, festival wise, especially in town stuff. I always love to do stuff for the hometown. Not really touring, just would be more specialty one-offs, but nothing at the moment. But I know within the next couple of months, by within this first quarter, we'll definitely be locked in, and we'll keep you guys posted. We'll have some fun.
Okay.
Awesome. Awesome.
Well, so we've occupied like an hour of your time.
Literally. We could talk to you for another hour. You have no idea.
Listen, I when we put out the underground tapes, when we re-released it last year, I wasn't really doing interviews because it's stuff that everybody had already heard. It was just a really cool way to say, hey, it's back. This is, the anniversary and it's available again. But I vowed to, once this new material came out, a lot of unheard material came out, that there'd be room for new conversation. Mm-hmm. And that I would adhere to. So I enjoy it, and I thank you guys for your time, giving me a chance to expose some of this funk.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. Listen, I've got my drums right behind me right here, so I'm all about the funk, my friend. Believe me.
There it is.
Clyde Stubblefield and John Jabbo Starks, James Brown's two killer drummers, right? So yeah, we cannot thank you enough. Like you are literally a national treasure, and we can't thank you enough for joining us tonight. This has been so much fun, and we'd love to chat with you again at some point in the future.
Well, I look forward to it. Right? When more stuff, more material, more new interesting things come out, it'd be great to chat about them again. And I really appreciate the insight that you guys have on the material. Where it gives again, I call it the symbiotic relationship, right? Without people who really dig the music, there ain't no music, there's no us, so it's we gotta share it. Otherwise, but the dance hall will be empty, man. We can't.
No, exactly. Well, it's for us, like Revolution Radio. So the double R's behind me, this essentially is Revolution Radio Canada runs 24/7, 365. And essentially what we do is, it's essentially, for me, it would be what CFNY was back in the day when Chris Shepherd and Deadly Headley Jones were there, right? So we're playing, like, Saukrates is in there, Akon and Cardinal are in there. Baby Blues entire EP essentially is on the radio station. So we're just honored and privileged to be able to, keep spreading your music as far as things go. So, but again, we really appreciate you being here. So it's been awesome.
Greg, Dimitri, listen, thank you guys, and I'll be back.
Yeah, this is going to be great. All right.
Well, but before you go, just tell us a little bit about My Pager Burn Up, East Side of Thing. It's a single that you put out last summer. And how do you think the reception to it went? And tell us a little bit about how it came to be.
The reception is, I think it's fine. Once I've come to peace with the fact I let a piece of music out. It's been through so many of my own filters. Where I'm so happy with it. I'm just happy that it's out, so it turns conversations like this.
Do you have a tough time letting music go, Saukrates?
Oh yeah.
You do? You're a classic artist. Yeah.
Yeah. It's got to be right there. Once you get it right there. Yeah. I'm just excited for the world.
I'm just going to declare that this song is one of the best of 2024.
Yeah. Thank you. I'll take that. Thank you. Uh-huh. And as far as the process, that's that funk. And myself, my homie Road Dollar, who's part of Big Black Lincoln, part of Circle. Back in the day, we spent a lot of time producing and making beats, and he'd help with little things here and there. And Redman would be in and out of town. And every time he come into town, it's like, what you got, Sox? 4, 5, 6 different beats we could choose from. Again, this is maybe 2000. This is like 2002, 2001, 2002.
Wow.
And we're at Jacques Clair's studio, which he used to call Greenhouse, down on Adelaide. And we're going through this beat. We write to the beat. And the thing is, it's that funk. That as I always realize, there are many beats that I can put in front of Redman that we can, work with. But there are ones that are just absolutely guaranteed. Like if I can get that Eric Sermon bounce, if I can get that DJ Quick or Battle Cat funk, if I could get that, there's no way he'd say no. So I play a bunch of beats, and that one, a bunch of them struck, and that's one of them. And 2002, we recorded that, good thing. Luckily, I saved the 2-track of it and put it away.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then the coolest thing is Ace being, I got it quickly. I had, it was 3 verses, just me and Red. And I kept getting bored of my 3rd verse. And that's why I said I added one new aspect to the whole LP. And I call Master Ace. I figured he'd be a really great fit with the concept. And, we go into this colorful bridge type of a verse to have him do the 3rd verse. And he was honored to do it. Shout out Master Ace. Thank you for that. And then to let this funk drop on the city, it's just really cool to hear folks like yourself, Dimetre, say, man, that thing is rocking. And a couple of my OGs, like, guys 7, 8 years older than me, they played at their barbecue. And when it came out last summer, and they're like, man, when they say, man, that beat is knocking. I'm like, oh, I can still trust my filters.
Nice.
Absolutely, you should. Absolutely.
Good for you.
Yes.
That's amazing.
How much more do you have to accomplish as an artist before you can trust your filters?
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So this is a good one. This is a good. So it's a great
great
example of trusting the funk filter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up, man. And more to come. Actually, even after the next 2 singles come out this summer, it'd be cool to chat and catch up, man.
Yes.
Cool.
We'll have
Love
to. We'll have to.
Definitely.
I'll take you up on that.
Bread to break. We'll have some more bread to break. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly,
you so
like
much.
listening to you talk about like funk and just classic hip hop breaks, I could literally just talk to you for an hour about old school samples and all of those old school records that you used to get. The old school classics that you would get.
He really
Play
could.
D. Literally,
Really?
honestly, no joke. So
the drum break records. I just want the loops. Just give me the loops.
Yeah.
I gotta go home. I got some beats to build, and there's another
Exactly.
DJ over here playing the next. The next deep house record. I'm like, ooh, I might need that.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
It was a great place for sure. Definitely.
Awesomeness. Thank you
so
gentlemen.
much.
Thank you, Socrates.
Alrighty.
And this is we're gonna end the show with blowing my pager blowing up, East Side of Things by Saukrates from the album Bad Addiction. Thank you so much for hanging out with us, sir.
You're the best. You're the best, my friend. Thank you so much. Have a great night.
Be good.
Canadian as Heck, Revolution Radio Canada. Your top 5 tunes right now, as of this second, on Spotify, On the Run, Wicked, Play This, 99, Father Time, the 2017 version, Money or Love, Wicked, and number 5, My Pager Burning Up. That is your top 5 right now on Spotify. Okay, that's the first thing. And the second thing is, I just wanted to let you know, while I was enjoying that unbelievable piece of music, I just I got all of our Wu-Tang names. do you guys mind if I read them to you?
Yeah.
So my name is Smilin' Warlock. Okay. Carl Waylu is Master Warrior.
That sounds about right.
All right.
Master
That's
Warrior.
not Master Warrior. That is your Wu-Tang name.
I used to know mine. Do
you remember what it is, Dimitri?
No, I don't. I don't anymore.
Phantom Professional.
That's it.
So I'm Smiling Warlock.
Master Warrior hanging with the Phantom Professional.
Awesome.
Freaking awesome. Yes.
Alan.
My wife, her name Jen Covent, is Master Specialist. Jen remembers it. That's awesome. Okay. Anyway, Saukrates, thank you. You're so freaking awesome,
I didn't
man.
even gonna play the whole song. I'm like, wow. Okay, let's rock.
Yeah. No, it's awesome. We appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
All right, man. We'll circle back.
Have a great evening, sir.
Have a great night, and we will talk to you in the summer, okay?
Awesome. Cheers. Thank you.
All the best. Thanks.
Good night.